My wife called me delusional for demanding a D and a test for our newborn. 6 weeks later, I came back with the results. Her reaction said everything. Hey, Reddit. I suspected something was off, followed my attorney's advice, and got a chain of custody DNA test without a big speech. 6 weeks later, the lab said I'm 0% dad to our newborn. I put the report on the table and waited. Here's how it went down. I'm Nate, 34, Seattle. I run a small electrical outfit, North Shore Current LLC. I started at 19 as the kid carrying ladders, while journeymen argued about code sections. I spent 11 years grinding in crawl spaces and attics, and I earned my license midway through that stretch. For the last 5 of those 11 years, I was already building North Shore Current nights and weekends. Then I took it full time. First couple years were 60 to 80-hour weeks. Panels never fail on a Friday at noon. They wait until Sunday dinner. These days it's steady. 2 vehicles. A Mercedes Sprinter 2500 with welded shelves, and a spotless Toyota 4Runner I use when I need clients to think I have my life together. Crew of 3. Me, Brent, journeyman, walking dad joke machine, and Luis, apprentice who asks smart questions right before I'm about to explain something. Last year, we grossed $286,000. After taxes and overhead, I took home about $118,000. Not bad for a guy who used to eat cold pizza on milk crates. Bought an off-market Ballard fixer 4 years back for $460,000. Estate sale tiny lot, as is. Dropped $92,000 down. I rent out the lower unit to a guy who actually pays on time. Title's in my name. Emergency fund sits at $34,000 and I don't touch it. Money stayed separate when I got married. Still does. My Uncle Ray got flattened in a divorce when I was a kid, and his advice stuck. Don't sign what you don't understand. Don't share what you're not ready to lose. So yeah, prenup. Not romantic, just math. The duplex, the business, my savings, tools, and vehicles are mine. Anything new after the wedding is split. She had her own lawyer. It was grown-up honesty, not a love poem. We met 5.5 years before the blow-up at a neighborhood 5K Zeke talked me into. $20 and a free shirt. Lena ran the last half mile next to me. Short brown hair, green eyes, easy small talk. First date was tacos and a walk around Green Lake. Second date, I patched a low-voltage panel hole, and she learned spackle isn't frosting. Early on, we clicked. I could fix anything from a flickering light to a dead outlet. She could talk a vendor into free shipping like it was a sport. I brought labels to the pantry. She brought Pinterest energy to meal prep. We kept it practical. Shared notes for groceries, synced calendars, and an agreed-on budget so December never turned chaotic. Saturdays, she'd sometimes ride along, hold the flashlight while I swapped a panel, and laugh when I explained why neutrals and grounds living together is a terrible idea. 2 years in, I proposed. 6 months later, we got married. She moved into my upper unit. The downstairs renter stayed. We kept money separate on purpose. Prenup set the lanes. I covered the mortgage because it's my duplex. We split day-to-day stuff. I added her as an emergency user on the smart locks and cameras because my jobs bounce me around town. We were a checklist couple. It worked. Year 1 of marriage went fine. Year 2, our son Ben showed up. Dark hair, brown eyes, stubborn grin, basically me in toddler form. We tag-teamed the newborn chaos. Car seat naps, mountain of laundry, wipes in every drawer. I'd drive him around at 2 a.m. in the 4Runner while Zeke texted sports updates I didn't ask for. Moose, my husky mix who thinks he's a cat, took babysitting duty like it was a full-time job. Early September this year, our daughter Mia arrived. Healthy, loud, perfect, and bright red hair. Not cute strawberry blonde. I'm talking emergency exit red. In certain light, orange. I stared at her under the hospital lamps doing the quiet math. My hair, dark. Lena's, light brown. Ben, exact copy of me. Mia looked like she teleported from another family's Christmas card. I'm not clueless. Genetics can be weird. But red hair's recessive, meaning both parents have to carry the gene. My family's browns and blacks straight through every photo album. Lena always said her side's blondes and browns. No redheads. So at 2 in the morning, while Mia slept, I fell down the genetics rabbit hole. Punnett squares, allele charts, probability tables. Stuff scientists explain calmly while your stomach turns. Every chart said the same thing. Odds near zero. I told myself it was just new baby exhaustion. Shadows look like monsters when you haven't slept. For 2 weeks, I buried myself in work. Labeled a panel so neat, the inspector took a picture. Took Ben to the park. Tried to act normal. But the tiny warning lights on my internal dashboard all glowed red at once. The kind you ignore until smoke starts leaking from somewhere you can't see. Aberbauer. Long before a lab report nuked my week, I did the slow build everyone says they want and almost nobody enjoys doing. I ate the humble jobs. I fixed the my lights dim when the fridge kicks on nonsense. I learned which inspectors care about neatness and which ones only want to see GFC is where they should be. I made friends with the supply counter folks and stopped paying retail plus confusion. If you're curious how I won, here's the cheat sheet. Show up, clean up, charge fair, and don't ghost. I also set up my life so surprises get bored fast. Paper trails everywhere. Title on the duplex is clean. The business has its own account and insurance. Personal account is separate. Taxes get paid quarterly and on time. Tools are listed, cataloged, and insured. The forerunner is mine. I also had the prenup. For the 5 folks who will inevitably go, prenups are mean, please read this part twice. I didn't hide anything. I never made it my money, your problem. It was, these pre-marriage assets stay pre-marriage. Everything we build together is ours, and joint stuff splits clean. She had a lawyer. I had a lawyer. We both signed because we both like not fighting about money. It's not romance, it's load calculation. You size the service right so the breakers don't blow. If you want the checklist of good signs I used to brag about, she remembered my inspection dates, brought surprise lunches when I was buried in work, labeled the hall closet bins, and laughed at my joke about neutrals being introverts and grounds being extroverts. She worked in marketing, mid-level. Her salary wasn't mine, but it was steady. She could network an empty room into a brunch list in 10 minutes. Green eyes that lit up when she liked a story. Strong walk. Fit from Pilates classes she actually attended. Yes, some people do that. When did it shift? After we got engaged, little habits changed. Lena started nudging for nicer things more often. Not wild, just constant. We should upgrade the couch. My co-workers all do weekend getaways. Maybe we should think about a bigger car. Nothing wrong with wanting nice things. But it went from fun idea to baseline expectation. I chalked it up to leveling up together and kept it moving. Yeah, I know I missed a flag. After we got married, money stayed separate on purpose. We split groceries, utilities, and day-to-day. I covered mortgage because it was my duplex. She kept her own savings. We talked openly about it and didn't mind the system. It kept both of us from resenting each other when one of us wanted to spend on a hobby. I buy tools and random organizers. She buys plants and storage baskets, fair trade. Then Ben came along, and for a while things got better. Babies will do that. You're both too busy keeping a tiny human alive to bicker about pillows. We found a rhythm. I'd do early mornings with bottles before job sites. She'd handle afternoons. We took turns on bath time. Moose did patrols like a proud older brother. We felt like a team. When Mia arrived, the team feeling cracked. Hard to pinpoint the exact day. She got more protective of her phone, always face down, and got weird about quick girls' nights with coworkers that didn't exist before. She added makeup layers for just a drink after work, her words, then waved me off when I offered to pick her up. She started dropping in phrases like self-care as cover for disappearing until late. Meanwhile, I was juggling a gym build-out and 2-panel upgrades with a toddler who believed socks were a conspiracy. My head was on work and diapers. Her head was somewhere else. Zeke noticed before I said anything. He called it out the way only a best friend can. Bro, pay attention off the job site. And I told him he was seeing ghosts. He shrugged and said, cool, but if the breaker trips, don't act surprised. He's blunt like that. He also brought over takeout when I looked like a raccoon. That's why he's family. Here's where I admit I ignored small stuff because the big story in my head said everything was fine. I saw the red hair and told myself either of us could carry the gene. I saw the girl's night messages and told myself I was being controlling if I asked questions. I noticed she no longer set her phone on the nightstand screen up and decided I was tired and cranky instead of curious. Self-awareness is great. Self-delusion is cheaper in the moment. Then the blips got closer together. She stopped posting photos of Mia in the family chat, but posted them to her work socials. She created a new passcode and didn't tell me. She turned the phone over when I walked into the room, like it suddenly needed privacy. She whispered into her speaker and laughed in a different tone. None of that is proof in a vacuum. Together, it's a pattern. I still did nothing because I wanted to be the guy who trusts. I've wired enough circuits to know when a line's carrying secret load. I just didn't want this one to be hot. The day it shifted from something feels off to I need answers was a Thursday night, 6 weeks after Mia was born. I was taking a photo of her to send to my mom. My phone died mid-click. Lena's phone was on the counter, unlocked because she'd just used it. I picked it up, snapped the picture, and a message slid down from the top. I can't wait to meet her properly soon. Contact name showed only an initial. C. That one sentence felt like someone flicked off the lights. No dramatics. Just complete quiet in my head. I set the phone down. I didn't reply. I didn't stomp into the next room. I airdropped the screenshot to my Mac because we're on the same Wi-Fi. Then I deleted the photo from her phone. I put it back exactly where it was. I held Mia while Lena walked past me to shower like nothing had happened. Ben snored softly on the couch. Moose watched me with that, "We okay?" face dogs do. I went to the office nook, opened the Mac, and started pulling on threads like I was tracing a short in a wall. First, our shared iPad. She'd logged in once to watch a show and forgot. Message previews were still toggled on. I opened messages. Most of it was basic group chat office chatter. Scrolled up a year. It changed tone around last November. C wasn't Caitlin or Kara, it was Colin. Red hair, beard, tall. I recognized him from Lena's office photos and holiday reels. The C message threads flirted without getting explicit. Inside jokes. GIFs. A single message that mattered. Last night was fun from Lena. 7:14 a.m., early Tuesday in November. It was unsent a couple minutes later, but the iPad kept the ghost line. Technology doesn't care about your oops. I took screenshots. I exported a PDF. I filed it in a folder titled TIMELINE. Then I built the timeline like a punch list. November 18th, company holiday party. Photo set with Lena in a red dress, Colin's arm around her shoulders. November 21st morning. Last night was fun. Unsent, but logged. December/03. Office white elephant photo with Colin and Lena side by side. Early September. Mia born with bright red hair. 6 weeks later. I can't wait to meet her properly soon from C. Next, smart locks. I checked logs for late night ins and outs the week of that November party. Her code in at 2:11 a.m. I wasn't home. I'd crashed at Zeke's after a late emergency call. Not proof, but it lined up. Next, Ring camera clips. She'd learned to stand outside the field of view when she called rides at night, which I only appreciated in that moment. Still, timestamps don't lie. I pulled what I had. Next, Instagram. I looked at tags from last winter. There was a video with office folks toasting a slow pan, and there he was, arm across the back of her chair. She smiled the smile you use in photos with people you're closer to than coworkers. None of it was courtroom proof on its own. Together, it was a junction box full of hot splices. I put it all in a folder, labeled by date, and wrote notes like I was prepping for an inspection. Who, what, where, and timestamps. I'm not a private investigator. I'm an electrician. My brain likes neat runs and clean labels. This was just me doing what I always do. Find the load, mark the path, protect the circuit. Next morning, I called an attorney. Miss Gallagher, straight shooter. We spoke for 30 minutes. I told her about the red hair, the message, the timeline, the prenup, the duplex, the business, the separate accounts, and the 2 kids. She said 3 things that mattered. Don't move out of my own property, don't start a screaming match that muddies the record, and if I'm considering a paternity test, use a lab with chain of custody and paper reports. Calm, steady, exactly what I needed. I booked a chain of custody collection at a clinic. I swabbed there first. I needed Mia's sample. I could have asked. Instead, I used the quietest open window I had. Our downstairs tenant, Mrs. Patel, watches Mia for a few hours when Lena has long meetings. Lena had a big client deck that Thursday. I stopped by to grab invoices, thanked Mrs. Patel for helping, and swabbed Mia's cheek gently while she slept. She stirred, blinked at me, decided I was boring, and went back to sleep. I sealed everything, labeled it, and mailed it the same afternoon. The lab said 4 to 6 weeks. If you've ever waited on a result that decides whether your life is a straight line or a 90-degree turn, you know the feeling. I did the only thing I trust. Routine. Job sites. Quotes. Pickups. Diapers. I didn't confront Lena. I didn't blow up her phone. I wasn't going to argue feelings while facts were in transit. Zeke came by 2 nights a week to watch a game and roast my snack choices. He didn't ask for updates. He just sat there. That's real friendship. Weeks went by. Lena got colder about everything that wasn't Ben. She sent 0 photos of Mia. She posted work selfies with caption hearts. I stayed quiet and updated the folder with anything relevant. I slept badly, but I didn't spin out. I'd already decided, facts first, then action. 6 weeks and 3 days after I mailed the kit, the email hit. Your results are ready. I was in a budget meeting with a gym owner who thinks lights cost wishes. I stepped outside, logged into the portal, and read it. Probability of paternity, 0%. Everything went still. I took 3 screenshots, downloaded the PDF, emailed it to Ms. Gallagher with received. Then I sat in the Forerunner until my heartbeat felt normal. I still had a meeting, a day of work, and a son to pick up. Feelings could wait. Facts had arrived. Ms. Gallagher gave me the map. File for divorce per the prenup, petition for custody of Ben with a firm schedule, no financial responsibility for Mia, and keep everything in writing. You set yourself up well, she said. Not luck. Boring prep. I went into project mode. First, digital. Changed passwords on everything I own, pulled read-only snapshots of bank balances, and removed Lena from my personal Amazon, doorstep deliveries, and any subscription tied to my address. I left the shared grocery list because feeding a toddler is a team sport, whether you like each other or not. I reprogrammed the smart lock to give her a limited access code that logs entry and exit. I printed 6 copies of the lab report and paper-clipped Ms. Gallagher's card to one of them. Second, physical. Boxed Lena's non-essential stuff neatly and labeled each box by room. If you're wondering why I'd be that considerate, here's the not romantic answer. Clean exits are cheaper than messy ones. I set aside anything sentimental and put it in a separate bin. I kept receipts and made a list of what I packed. I texted Lena at noon. Be home at 6, we need to talk. I prefer to do it calmly. She replied, Is something wrong? I said yes. She asked if it could wait. No. I called Zeke. Need a witness, I said. On my way, he said. No questions. He showed up at 5:30, sat at the dining table, cracked his knuckles like a referee. I put the lab result on the coffee table, face down. One envelope with Miss Gallagher's card sat next to it. Ben was with my sister. Mia was with Lena at her office daycare. The house hummed the way houses do right before something important happens. At 6:11, the door opened. Lena stepped in, saw Zeke, and did that tight smile you do for people you didn't invite. What is this? She asked. I pointed at the coffee table. Sit, I said. She sat. I flipped the paper. She looked down, read, and went pale. Nate, I can explain, she said. 0% doesn't need explanation, I said. I waited for facts. My voice sounded like I was reading a panel schedule. Calm, precise. You're overreacting, she tried. It's not what it looks like. It looks like this. You got close with a coworker last November. He texted you 6 weeks after our daughter was born that he can't wait to meet her properly. A lab says I'm not the father, I said. So which part isn't what it looks like? She opened and closed her mouth. It was one time, she said. Things were hard. It didn't mean anything. Actions have consequences, I said. You made your choice. I'm protecting what's mine. My son, my house, my business. You can't just kick me out, she said, voice rising. How could you do this to me? I'm not kicking you out. I'm filing for divorce per the prenup, I said, sliding the envelope toward her. You'll get the papers. You can grab essentials tonight. I'll schedule movers for the rest. Your code on the lock will work for pickups and drop-offs, and it logs times. I'm petitioning for primary custody of Ben. I'm not responsible for Mia. Those are the facts. You're cold, she said, tears showing up. You don't even care. I care about Ben having stability, I said. I care about truth. You wanted freedom. You got it. Zeke cleared his throat and looked away like a cameraman giving privacy. I kept going. Just so we're clear, I said, I am recording the rest of this conversation after this sentence. Washington needs all-party consent. Are you okay with that? She hesitated, then said, Fine. We covered logistics, Ben's schedule, pickups. What stays, what goes. I showed her the labeled boxes. She called me a jerk for being so prepared. Zeke couldn't help a tiny laugh. I didn't bite. Not my problem anymore, I said once when she complained about rent near her office. Talk to Colin. That one landed, her eyes flickered. She left at 8:03 with 2 suitcases, a duffel, and Mia. I watched the taillights shrink. No celebration, no yelling. Just the pop of tension releasing. I locked the door, reset the access code, and sent my attorney one line. Confrontation completed. She left. Please file tomorrow. Day 1 after, her mom called 6 times. I let it hit voicemail. Her sister texted a paragraph about forgiveness and family. A random number sent coward. Block, block, block. I posted nothing. I said nothing except to my attorney and in scheduling emails about Ben. Day 3, Lena put a story up. Black background, white text. Being betrayed by someone you trusted is the worst. 2 friends sent screenshots. I said noted and went back to pulling wire. Day 5, Ben asked, Why mommy not here? I said, Different houses now. Mommy loves you. Daddy loves you. You'll see Mommy this weekend. He asked if his toy truck could go too. I said yes. That was that. I treated it like a job site. Document, label, move on to the next task. Not because I'm heartless, because drama wastes energy, and I have a kid to raise and a company to run. The first week was predictable. Phone calls from her family, a few drive-by messages from coworkers who suddenly discovered moral courage, and one dramatic post painting me as a supervillain. I didn't answer. I didn't subpost. I didn't even vent to mutuals. Anything worth saying would be said through counsel or about Ben's schedule. That's it. Her mom, Patricia, left me 3 voicemails about family is everything. I'm sure she believes that. But her version of everything deleted the part where her daughter slept with a coworker and hid a baby's paternity for weeks. Zeke told me, "Don't feed the seagulls." He meant don't throw bread into the crowd and expect quiet. Good advice. I kept my hands in my pockets. I also started a spreadsheet. Yeah, boring. Yeah, useful. Tab 1, missed visits. Tab 2, late pickups. Tab 3, social media posts relevant to the case. Screenshots with timestamps. Tab 4, messages from unknown numbers that felt drive-by aggressive, because if it escalated, I wanted a record. I refused to play public games, but I wasn't going to pretend it was friendly. Week 2, the mask slipped. Lena asked to meet and talk about working it out. I said no. You want it out. You got it. She called me rigid. I said, I'm being clear. I like short sentences when big feelings try to run the show. She wrote 3 more paragraphs in that thread. I didn't respond. Week 3, she tried the memory lane route. I miss our life. I made a mistake. We can go to counseling. My response, I agree you made a mistake. I am not your backup plan. Neutral tone. No debate. She stopped messaging for a few days. Meanwhile, her friend Kara, the enabler, went hard online. Men who weaponize money are gross. Real partners work through challenges. She posted latte art with long captions about rebirth. Zeke screenshotted one, added, new boss unlocked, and then apologized because he knows I'm trying not to look. I told him to chill. He sent me a meme of a breaker labeled, drama flipped to off. That one I saved. Week 4, Lena moved in with Colin. Capitol Hill. Friends of friends confirmed it without me asking. That decision came with predictable fallout. Her commute changed, rent punched harder, and she started missing scheduled weekends with Ben. Mia has a runny nose. We had a thing. Can we swap? Every change she requested got logged. I stuck to an email-only policy for schedule changes. If she texted, I replied, please email scheduling requests so they can be tracked. Courts like paper. Paper likes me. One awkward moment, Patricia, her mom, showed up at my door unannounced with a casserole. I don't love surprise visits. I opened the door to be polite and stood outside so there was no gray area. She said she wanted to talk sense into me. I said there's nothing to talk about beyond the parenting plan, and that should be handled in email. She started to cry. I'm not cold. I just didn't let her meltdown become my job. I told her I'm protecting my son and my home. She left the dish on the porch and walked away. I put it on a neighbor's share table. Online nonsense slowed around day 12. People get bored, especially when you don't give them fresh content. I kept working. We finished the gym build-out. I booked 2 panel upgrades and a lighting retrofit. I took Ben to the park, and we had a whole conversation about why ducks don't need shoes. Moose decided a pine cone was his purpose and carried it for a mile. Life kept being life, just minus a layer of noise inside my house. I did see a different kind of noise. First, unknown numbers started texting drive-by trash. I screenshotted and filed everything. Then a package showed up at the shop with no return address. A baby onesie and a note. You'll regret this. I photographed it, saved timestamps, and sent it to Miss Gallagher. She asked if I wanted to file for a temporary restraining order. I said we'd document and wait unless it escalated. Then it escalated. At 2:03 a.m., a car idled in front of my duplex. Ring captured Lena on the porch, trying her old code twice after I'd revoked access and asked her to respect the boundary. I emailed Ms. Gallagher the clip at 2:30 a.m. On Tuesday, we filed for a temporary restraining order with exhibits, screenshots of the harassing texts, photos of the package and note, the smart lock access logs, and the Ring video. A judge granted an ex parte temporary order on Friday and set a hearing date. I emailed Lena a copy. Please respect this boundary. Kara texted Zeke directly to call me a monster. Zeke replied, you're yelling at the wrong house, then sent me the exchange with a caption, choosing violence via latte foam. He can't help himself. He also helped me swap a heavy breaker and refused payment. Best friend energy. By week 8, someone older in Lena's family came to me like an adult. Her aunt asked to meet in a public spot. I agreed. She showed up with printed screenshots Lena had posted. I brought the lab report and the missed visits spreadsheet. She read in silence. She said, I didn't know. I said, that's why I didn't fight online. She nodded and said she'd talk to people. The online noise faded to near zero after that. Funny how evidence beats a caption. Month 3 was the weirdest mix. My life got simpler while Lena's got messier. She changed jobs, or maybe it was roles. Not my business. Can we adjust my weekends? Turned into, I need to cancel. I didn't argue. I said, please send a revised schedule by email. Every missed visit got a row in the spreadsheet. Every late pickup got a timestamp. I didn't make snarky notes. Judges like simple facts. She tried a second wave of reconciliation messages. He's controlling. He asks where I am all the time. I made a mistake. None of that changed anything for me. My reply was exactly one line each time. All parenting communication should remain by email. It reads cold. It's not. It's clarity. Restraint order held. No drive-bys. No late-night code attempts. A couple unknown numbers tried to bait me. You think you're a hero? Real men step up. I blocked, screenshotted, filed. If someone wanted to do a group chat roast, they had to do it without my login. One afternoon at a grocery store, I turned a corner and saw Lena near the cereal. She looked smaller, tired. She saw Ben sitting in the cart. He waved. She waved back. We didn't talk. We didn't owe each other anything beyond the schedule and basic human decency. I turned into the next aisle and grabbed the pancake mix with the cartoon he recognizes. Ben said, Dino pancakes? I said, you already know. Moose stayed. Moose. Morning patrols, goofy grin, acting like any knock at the door is a dragon. He must fight with a squeaky toy. Ben started telling him secrets in toddler gibberish. Moose listened like it was classified. Work picked up. We landed a lighting retrofit for a small bakery and a service upgrade in a Craftsman that still had cloth-covered surprise circuits. I bought another pair of Klein linemans and a second Fluke because I'm done sharing meters like a rookie. Brent and Luis handled more calls without me. That's how you know a shop is healthy. The owner can step back and nothing falls. A few folks asked if I felt lonely. Not really. I felt responsible. That's different. My day had anchors. Breakfast with Ben, job site, pickup, park, bath time, book, lights out, label some bins because I'm that guy, sleep. I connected with friends when it made sense. Zeke came by with screws and sarcasm. My sister checked in with actual helpful questions. Uncle Ray sent a thumbs-up emoji that somehow communicated a multi-chapter memoir worth of told you paperwork matters. Then, a quiet, normal good thing happened. I met Maya on a job site. She's a civil engineer who walked my conduit run and said, weirdly tidy. It was the nicest sentence I'd heard in months. We grabbed coffee on a Sunday when Ben was with my sister. We talked about building codes and weird clients and which neighborhoods have the trickiest inspectors. She didn't ask for the drama dump. I didn't offer it. We kept it light. Lena sent an email asking for a schedule tweak, then copy-pasted a paragraph about reconsidering everything. I replied with the availability update and ignored the essay. I'm not cruel. I'm done. There's a difference. My job is to make sure Ben's routine is stable. That's it. Month 5, her aunt reached out again to say the family had seen enough to stop the Whisper network. I'm sorry, she wrote. I should have asked questions sooner. I appreciated it. Not because I need anyone's validation, because it meant fewer stray darts flying toward my kid's dad. Zeke and I replaced a breaker one Saturday morning, and he asked, You good? I said, Yeah. He looked at me for a second like he was checking for loose screws, then nodded. Cool. Also, your labeling game is out of control. He means it as a compliment. If you want the revenge moment, you'll be disappointed. This wasn't movie revenge. It was paperwork, locks, and silence. It was a clean confrontation followed by cleaner boundaries. It was me refusing to be bait. It was short, direct sentences that told the exact truth. That's the stuff that holds in real life. By end of month 6, Lena's online crowd shrank to a couple friends who still double-tapped latte photos. She had moved apartments twice. She and Colin were taking a break, according to a mutual who can't help narrating. I didn't cheer. I didn't send a told you. I answered the only question that mattered. Is Ben coming Saturday? Yes. Always yes if it's on the plan and safe. That's the whole story right now. Simple commitments kept on time. 8 months after the lab result, here's the state of the union. My duplex is quieter than it has ever been. The tenant downstairs renewed for another year. North Shore Current is booked 3 weeks out with a mix of service calls and small projects. I brought on a part-time second apprentice, so Brent doesn't have to pretend to be in 2 places at once. We bought more storage bins than any sane person should own, and my label maker might be my favorite tool that doesn't spark. Ben is thriving. He's 3, which means he's powered by fruit snacks and curiosity. We do Saturday bakery runs. He names the ducks at the pond things like Captain Fluffy. He sleeps with a plastic dinosaur under his pillow like a tiny security guard. He knows the routine. Breakfast, daycare, pickup, park, bath, 2 books, lights out, moose patrol. I keep his world predictable on purpose. Stability isn't boring. It's safe. Maya and I kept grabbing coffee. Then it became lunch. Then it became, hey, want to walk this job site with me and roast my conduit run? I kept it slow and factual. No sales pitch, no big speeches. We talk about simple things. Which inspector prefers typed labels? Whether pancakes beat waffles? The science behind toddlers refusing socks? She met Moose. Moose approved. She hasn't met Ben yet. I don't introduce people to my kid until I'm certain. That's a rule I made for grown-up me, not petty me. Lena sent one last email that mattered. I'm sorry for how it happened. No excuses, no add-ons. I replied, I appreciate the apology. That's as far as it goes. She still gets scheduled time with Ben. When she cancels, I log it. When she's on time, I note it. We hand off with brief, civil sentences. I won't ever badmouth her in front of our son. He didn't choose any of this. My feelings about the past don't get to shade his entire life. Every so often, someone asks me what the secret was to winning. There isn't one. There's just work. Work ahead of time so the house is grounded. Work in the moment so you don't light everything on fire. Work afterward so you don't trip over your own ego. I made moves that looked cold from the outside, but were warm at the core. Protect the kid, protect the home, protect the business, and protect my own head from drama whirlpools. I didn't win a jackpot. I kept what I'd already built. My duplex, my company, my kid's routine, my sanity. That's everything. The revenge is me living steady while the people who tried to spin me up ran out of energy. Actions have consequences. That's not a threat. It's gravity. Last little scene, supervised exchange at a neutral spot. Lena walked up looking tired and said, I love you, buddy, to Ben. He said, okay, mommy, and wriggled his hand out of his coat. She looked at me like she had a speech loaded. I nodded once. She nodded back. No more words. No shouting. Just a clean handoff and a clear boundary. We both walked away in different directions, which honestly is the most honest thing we've done in a long time. I know some folks come to Reddit hoping for fireworks. This wasn't that. It was a bunch of tiny switches clicking into place. It was a man who builds safe circuits applying the same logic to his life. If you're in the thick of your own version, here's my practical list. Keep finances clean. Separate accounts aren't mean. They're simple. Paperwork beats speeches. Prenup, title, insurance, logs. Screenshots, timestamps, and calm voices win days. Don't argue on the internet. Ever. Short, true sentences fix more than long apologies. If you're a dad, routine is love in calendar form. 3 to 6 months later, you'll look up and realize the ground under your feet feels solid again. The noise fades when you stop feeding it. You'll take your kid to the park and watch them name a duck Captain Fluffy. You'll close a job early because your crew is dialed. You'll meet someone who says your conduit run is weirdly tidy, and it will sound better than any big romantic line you've heard in a while. You'll go home to a quiet house that is yours, put away a label maker because you're that person now, and sleep without wondering what your doorbell camera will catch at 2 a.m. Sup Reddit. I didn't torch the place. I flipped the right breakers, did the maintenance, and walked forward. That's the whole update. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.